Rome in my youth was a city of stark contrasts and dramatic extremes, a place where fortunes were made and lost in the blink of an eye. Unimaginable wealth existed alongside crushing poverty, a stark division between grandeur and squalor that defined the very fabric of Roman society. The city was a vibrant hub, teeming with merchants from across the empire, their stalls overflowing with exotic goods and local produce. Senators debated in the forum, their voices echoing with power and ambition, while disciplined legions marched through the streets, a constant reminder of Rome's military might. Yet beneath the veneer of prosperity and order, danger and unrest were ever present, lurking in the shadows. Political life was a brutal game, a constant struggle for power and influence. Ambitious warlords like Pompey, the immensely wealthy Crassus, and my own great-uncle, the charismatic and ambitious Julius Caesar, openly fought for control of the Republic, often resorting to violence and intimidation to achieve their goals. The Senate's authority was rapidly fading, its power eroded by corruption and the overwhelming influence of these powerful individuals. Powerful men openly used their legions and vast fortunes to bribe officials and seize power, undermining the very foundations of Roman law and tradition. For a young man like me, growing up in this turbulent era, survival depended on learning to navigate the treacherous waters of Roman politics, understanding shifting loyalties, and mastering the art of intrigue. The city's grain supply was perpetually unreliable, leading to widespread hunger and discontent among the plebeians. Crime was rampant in the narrow, winding streets, and violent riots were a common occurrence, fueled by poverty and desperation. Yet, despite the dangers and uncertainties, Rome was also a city alive with spectacle and entertainment. Thrilling chariot races in the Circus Maximus, brutal gladiator games in the Colosseum, and elaborate religious festivals honoring the gods. It was into this chaotic, exhilarating, and often dangerous world that I, Gaius Octavius, was born. Destined, though I could not have known it then, to eventually end the chaos and reshape Rome into the empire it was meant to be. My story begins in a city teetering on the brink of collapse, where every single day was a relentless test of ambition, cunning, and above all, the will to survive. I was born Gaius Octavius, into a respectable but not elite family. My father, a new man, died young, so I was raised by my mother, Atia, Julius Caesar's niece, and my grandmother. This connection to Caesar would define my future. My education was rigorous, Latin, Greek, rhetoric, and history, all to prepare me for public life. Poor health kept me from some physical training, but I was a diligent, serious student. I learned the value of family ties, careful planning, and the power of a famous name. My upbringing gave me a unique perspective, both insider and outsider, on Rome's failing republic. Caesar's assassination in 44 BC changed everything. I was just 19, training in Apollonia, when I learned I was Caesar's adopted son and heir. The name Caesar brought me instant prestige and made me a target. Mark Antony, Caesar's general, tried to sideline me, but I won the people and Caesar's veterans to my side. I paid Caesar's promised legacies, gaining popular support, and positioned myself as his avenger. Rome was in chaos. Antony, the Senate, and Caesar's assassins all vied for power. I allied with Cicero and the Senate against Antony, but always kept my own ambitions first. Raising a private army, I forced the Senate to legitimize me. My inheritance became my weapon, launching me into Rome's deadly political arena. The assassination of Caesar left a power vacuum, a void that ambitious men like myself were eager to fill. But I soon realized that the true threat wasn't just the absence of Caesar, but the men who orchestrated his demise. To survive and ultimately prevail, I understood the necessity of alliances. I joined forces with Antony, a powerful and influential figure in Rome, a seasoned general with the loyalty of many legions, and Lepidus, a man of considerable political weight, though perhaps not as militarily gifted as Antony or myself. Together, we forged the Second Triumvirate, a legally sanctioned three-man dictatorship designed to restore order, or so we claimed. In reality, it was a ruthless power grab. We moved swiftly and decisively, crushing our enemies with brutal prescriptions. Lists were drawn up, and those deemed enemies of the state were hunted down without mercy. Even the great orator Cicero, a man of unparalleled eloquence and intellect, fell victim to our purge. His death was a stark reminder of the ruthlessness of our regime. At Philippi, on the fields of Greece, Antony and I, leading our combined legions, finally defeated Brutus and Cassius, the principal architects of Caesar's assassination. Their defeat marked the effective end of the old Republic's cause, the ideals of which they claimed to defend. The dream of a free Rome died with them on that battlefield. With our enemies vanquished, the vast empire was divided. Antony, ever drawn to the allure of the East, took control of the eastern provinces, with all their wealth and resources. Lepidus, less ambitious and perhaps less capable, was relegated to Africa. And I, Octavian, governed Italy in the west, the heartland of Roman power. While Antony became increasingly entangled with Cleopatra, the seductive and cunning queen of Egypt, I remained in Rome, carefully consolidating my power base and championing traditional Roman values and customs. I skillfully defeated Sextus Pompey, eliminating a major rival and securing control of the seas. Then, with careful political maneuvering, I neutralized Lepidus, effectively removing him from the triumvirate. The stage was now set for a final, inevitable showdown with Antony, a clash that would determine the fate of Rome. Our long-simmering rivalry finally erupted into a full-blown civil war, tearing the Roman world apart. Through carefully crafted propaganda, I successfully cast Antony as a traitor, a Roman general bewitched and controlled by Cleopatra's foreign influence. At Actium, off the coast of Greece, my superior fleet decisively triumphed over Antony and Cleopatra's combined forces. Forced to confront their defeat, Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, where they ultimately chose death over capture. At the relatively young age of 32, I stood alone, the undisputed master of Rome and all its vast territories. The long and bloody civil wars that had plagued Rome for decades finally came to an end. The future of Rome, the destiny of the entire Roman world, was now firmly and irrevocably in my hands. But with this immense power came immense responsibility. I now faced the daunting challenge of ruling a fractured and war-weary empire, a task that would test my skills and resolve to their very limits. The very idea of kings was anathema to Romans. They had overthrown their monarchy centuries ago, establishing a republic built on the principles of shared governance and citizen representation. The wounds of tyranny were still fresh in their collective memory. So, acutely aware of this deep-seated aversion, I masterfully staged a restoration of the Republic in 27 BC. It was a carefully crafted illusion, designed to appease the populace while consolidating my own power. The Senate, ever eager to please and perhaps blinded by ambition, readily named me Augustus, a title laden with religious and auspicious connotations, and Princeps, meaning first citizen, a seemingly innocuous title that masked my true authority. But beneath the veneer of republicanism, I retained the real power. The loyalty of the army, the ultimate arbiter of Roman power, remained firmly with me, as did control over the most strategically vital provinces, the empire's economic and military engines. I deliberately chose to live simply on the Palatine Hill, in a residence that was far from ostentatious. I wore modest, unadorned clothes, eschewing the extravagant displays of wealth that had characterized previous rulers, and I ate frugal meals, demonstrating restraint and a connection to the common people. This carefully cultivated image was all about projecting humility and a deep respect for Roman tradition. My days were long filled with the burdens of leadership and the weight of responsibility. I spent countless hours reading reports from every corner of the empire, meeting with advisors to formulate policy, presiding over legal cases, ensuring justice was served, and meticulously managing the empire's vast and complex finances. To ensure the smooth functioning of the empire, I built a professional civil service, recruiting talented individuals based on merit rather than social standing. This meritocratic system was crucial in ensuring efficient government and minimizing corruption. Recognizing the moral decay that had plagued the late Republic, I passed social reforms designed to revive traditional Roman values, rewarding families for having children, strengthening the institution of marriage, and harshly punishing adultery, which I saw as a threat to the social fabric. I even went so far as to exile my own daughter, Julia, when her scandalous behavior threatened to undermine the very values I was trying to promote. My rule was methodical, characterized by careful planning and a systematic approach to governance. I constantly walked a tightrope, balancing the exercise of absolute power with the carefully constructed image of a humble servant of the Roman people. In essence, I was the empire's chief administrator, its highest judge, and its moral guardian, all rolled into one. This carefully cultivated public image reassured the Roman people that I was not a tyrant, but a benevolent leader acting in their best interests. But behind the scenes, away from the public eye, I held the fate of Rome, and indeed the entire Roman world, firmly in my hands, guiding its destiny with a steady and unwavering grip. I found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. My building program transformed the city, new temples, forums, and public spaces. I created jobs, improved infrastructure, and established Rome's first fire brigade and police force. The grain supply was stabilized, bringing security to daily life. My reign ushered in the Pax Romana, a golden age of peace and prosperity. Trade flourished, roads were safe, and a common currency unified the empire. I patronized poets like Virgil and Horace, sparking a cultural renaissance. Romans traded political power for stability and spectacle, funded by me. The city became safer, cleaner, and more beautiful. I reshaped Rome's society, forging a new bond between ruler and people. When I died in 14 AD, I had ruled for over 40 years. The Principate I created became the model for centuries of Roman rule. My greatest legacy was peace, the Pax Romana, spreading Roman culture and law across the world. I established the emperor as military leader, chief priest, and father of the state. My reforms, professional army, civil service,